The future of a small community near the mouth of the Selwyn River in mid-Canterbury is in jeopardy. Selwyn Huts has been home to a mix of holidaymakers and permanent residents for almost a century. But a legal opinion leaked to RNZ News shows the Selwyn District Council is concerned about the cost of building a new sewerage scheme and is now considering the community's future. Conan Young reports.
Canterburyans have made the trip out to Selwyn Huts for their holidays for generations, staying in the quintessential Kiwi batches, nestled alongside the Selwyn River and swimming and fishing in its pristine waters. While intensive dairy farming has put paid to the water quality in the river, the 97 huts have been proudly maintained by the roughly 100 people who now live there permanently. Steve Curtis has been visiting the hut since he was a boy and used to take his family there for holidays before recently deciding to move there permanently.
On the wall of my hut I have a board that over the years my children have stood against, and we put the pencil or the ruler on the head and drew a line of their height, and over the years of course as they grow we've changed the position. Now my children have grown and with their partners, and I've got grandchildren now standing against that board there.
At the time he moved there, Steve Curtis was told by the council he'd be allowed to stay there permanently, and now feels like the carpet has been pulled out from underneath him. He says so far the council has told hut owners the future of the settlement is in doubt due to the threat posed by rising sea levels. But Steve Curtis believes the real reason the council wants to see them move on is because it doesn't want to shell out between $5 and $10 million to replace its ageing sewerage scheme. His fears have been backed up by a legal opinion leaked to RNZ News, which shows the council is actively considering either refusing to renew the hut owners' licences to occupy the land or withdrawing wastewater services within the next 2 years.
This seems to be a very speedy, not well thought of plan by the councillors to reduce costs without giving regard to people's lives and their choices they've made to move to the Selwyn Huts. And some of those people there have been there. We're talking generations, like hut owners that are there now, their grandparents had huts.
Steve Curtis was planning to retire at the huts after spending $150,000 buying his home and doing it up. He and the other hut owners now face losing their biggest asset.
It creates a lot of stress for residents of the huts. They can't sell them, they can't move on because there's an issue with getting a renewal licence. People want to know how long the licence is for.
Bob Thompson has lived at Selwyn Huts for close to 40 years and has memories of holidaying as a child.
My grandfather used to go out there, sleep under a gorse bush and go fishing, and what I can remember, great place for kids to grow up. You know, fantastic. It used to be fantastic in the river.
Mr Thompson says he's willing to put up a fight to hold on to his home.
Well, I'm 100% sure that I'll be there till doomsday. I'm not leaving, and as far as I'm concerned, there's a lot of residents that'll dig their heels in too. I think people power will actually tell in the end. Look at Bastion Point. I think we'll probably end up with something like that.
The ward councillor and Deputy Mayor Malcolm Lyle says he can't recall seeing the legal advice the council sought into possibly refusing to renew the hut licences or disconnecting its sewage system. But he says the $5 to $10 million it would cost to connect the homes to the district-wide scheme once the consent on the current scheme runs out in 2020 would be prohibitive. Mr Lyle says sea level rise means the use of land next to Lake Waihoura to treat sewage will not be an option in the long term. He says the council needs to start thinking now about whether it should be investing in upgrading schemes such as the one that serves Selwyn Huts.
Whatever happens after 2020, they're going to need an upgrade of some form. And of course, we have to look 50 years ahead. And 50 years ahead, sea level rise numbers are not very pretty. So that's triggering these rounds of meetings and discussions as to what is the long-term future, how would we deal with sewage, what would the cost be, and all those different parameters, of course, will come up in part of that.
A council-organised meeting will be held with hut residents on Thursday night to discuss the future of the settlement. Kei Oto Tahi for Checkpoint, ko Conan Young tēnei.